I'd like to call our Washington County Board of Education August 9th meeting to order, and at this time we'll have our moment of silence, and then we'll have our pledge by Mr. Masters.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Masters. At this time, we'd like to welcome any commissioners that we have. I see Mr. Edens. Any others? If you'll stand, we'd like to welcome you. Do we have any administrators? I see some principals out there. If they'll stand up. And then I'm sure we have some teachers. I see them too. If they'll stand for us. And then, least but not least, is our parents. If they'll stand, please. Any parents? All right, thank you all so much for being here. We do appreciate your attendance. At this time, do I have a motion for consideration of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Masters and Mr. Murray, second. Any discussion? They do a roll call vote for me, Ms. Jennifer.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Urban? Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of the meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to accept?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Ganger. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Urban?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. All right, and our next item on the agenda is the director's report, and I'll turn that over to Dr. Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, as provided in the annual agenda, meal prices for students must be adopted by the board each year at this time. I'll ask Food Service Supervisor Caitlin Shue to come forward, present the numbers, and to answer whatever questions you might have.
Good evening. I'm not sure if Jennifer had it printed out, but I have copies.
It's in the drop.
Okay, so you have it. Okay. Well then, as you can see, the prices are remaining the same. The state sends out a toolkit that we have to use, and our meal prices were in compliance, so we will not be raising them this year. Do you all have any questions regarding the meal prices or the nutrition program?
I'm sure no change in the price is going to make some parents happy.
Let's hope so. We're trying to make them happy.
Good, thank you.
You need a motion to be able to approve
believe.
those.
Yes, that's in your annual.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the prices as listed in their drop box.
All right, we have a motion to approve the prices for our lunches. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hammonds. Any discussion? Dealing with money, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Urban?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Is that all you need?
That's all I need. Y'all need anything?
I'd like to say you are doing a great job, and we appreciate you.
I'm very grateful for those kind words. We're working very hard.
Did, if I may, Mr. Chairman, did the price increase that we put into effect last year put us over the edge of cost?
For this year, it kept us in compliance. If that's your question, yes. And then next year, they'll send out a new toolkit and we plug numbers, and then that yields us whether we have to do an increase or not. So,
Very good. Thank you.
okay. Well, thank you so much.
The Family and Career and Community Leaders of America, or FCCLA, is one of the great things about David Crockett High School. I'm proud to have been associated with that organization. I go back to when it was FHA for many years, and I was proud to have accompanied that group to Europe last summer, one of the great experiences of my life. Several members recently represented their school at their national competitive events in Atlanta. I'll now ask instructor Jessica Gorley to come forward and fill in the details.
They're scared.
Did you tell them to be afraid of us?
Yes, yes. They're all taller than me. So they block me so I don't have to be nervous. Good evening. My name is Jessica Gorley. I am the FCCLA advisor at David Crockett High School, and my students had the opportunity to go to Atlanta to compete in national competition. FCCLA stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, and welcome. So here's the logistics. My students have to compete at district and state levels to proceed to nationals. So 4 groups competed. District was canceled due to weather, and so we immediately went on to state. So all 4 groups won and qualified at state to represent Tennessee and David Crockett High School at nationals. Nationals is held somewhere different every single year. So last year it was in Nashville, Tennessee. This year it was in Atlanta, Georgia, and next year it will be in Anaheim, California. So students had the opportunity to compete as well as explore Atlanta. So I'm going to explain what they got to do fun-wise, and then they'll tell you what they did to compete. So we got to attend a Braves game. They were playing the Cincinnati Reds. Unfortunately, they lost. We went to the World of Coca-Cola. So they enjoyed Coca-Cola. And I am a culinary arts teacher, so this is all very interesting and exciting to me. And then we had some culinary adventures. We went to the Varsity in Atlanta, which is an icon. It's been in business for 90 years, and it is also it is the world's largest world's largest drive-in restaurant. Thank you. Thank you. We also went to the Cheesecake Factory to celebrate the ending of their competition, which is always a tradition if there is a Cheesecake Factory where we go in nationals. And then here are my competitors, and I'm going to let Isabel Tizer and Crystal Phillips tell you about their project, and we'll go from there.
Alright, my name is Isabel, and this is Crystal, and we competed in food innovations. And every year the scenario changes, so this year we had to create an entree with at least 5 grams of protein for people over the age of 65. And we did a rice and chicken recipe, and we modified it twice to come up with our final formula. We created a marketing strategy and product packaging. So we went through with all of that, and it took us, what, 4 months? A good 4 months to finish it. And we tested it on different focus groups. We went to our retirement homes. We got to reach out to a ton of people through this project. We went to state, and we won first place in the state and gold. And then we went to nationals, and we won silver. And overall, this was our last year competing, and overall it has been the best experience of my life. The past 3 years competing have done amazing things for me, and I couldn't be more grateful for the club.
My name is Mackenzie Robinette, and this is Michaela Lane. This year we chose to do entrepreneurship as our project. So as you can see, we got to create a board and a book. We chose to do a monogramming business. So we got to monogram different products for different people. We got to post those on our board. We got to develop a business plan, and then we had to present that to our judges. We went to state and won first and gold, and then we went to nationals and won gold and 8th in the nation. So we loved doing it. We had a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work. We didn't realize what all went into opening your own business, but we enjoyed every minute of it and can't wait to do it again our last year.
My name is Gracie Robinette, and this is Joey Hopkins, now my co-partner. We decided to do hospitality, tourism, and recreation for our competition group. We won first in state and got gold, and then we won second in the nation and got gold. we developed a business to help people come and increase tourism in the area, and we got to learn more about the community and more about what we do here in Jonesboro.
I mean, this was our first year competing, and it was honestly the best experience. And honestly, I didn't realize what all it took to open up a bed and breakfast, and it was a lot of work, but it really paid off, and we made some really great memories.
And our last group, Riley just got surprised with this afternoon, so I'll speak for her. This is Riley Hope, and she competed with Maddie McKee and Gideon Dowling, who were unable to be here tonight. But they did something called National Programs in Action, and their focus was on healthier eating. So we were able to go into elementary schools and do a healthy eating program. And they did a board and a presentation. They won state and won gold, and then in nationals they came in 7th in the nation and also won gold medals. So these are my children, and I'm very proud of them, and we thank you so much for letting us come here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Does any board member have any questions for these students? How many of you have already graduated? I know Isabel is.
So Mr. Jim, what are you pursuing your career in?
I plan to go to ETSU this fall and pursue interior architecture.
All right. You?
I'm attending ETSU and I'm going to major in chemistry and become a chemical engineer.
All right. Does any of you going to become teachers? Doctors?
I want to become a chef.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And one other thing, Ms. Gorley, your group provided all of the table decorations for every function we had this summer here at the central office, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I'm
Thank
sure
you for
there'll be
asking us.
invoices in the mail, but still, thank you very much. All right, great job, kids, thank you so much.
If they're going all the way to California next year to compete, I'll do it.
We'll help them.
I know. It'll be good.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like for you folks to have a look at the picture back here. At the recent general in-service meeting, we asked all East Tennessee State University alumni to gather in one section for a group photo. I think everyone there was astounded by the size of the group. Probably half of our teaching staff, maybe all of our administrators, certainly nearly all of our supervisors, multiple school board members, and one old broke-down superintendent in the back row was in this picture. I do not think that you can understate the impact East Tennessee State University has on the success of Washington County schools. Now, I want Dr. Greg Aloya to come forward. Dr. Greg Aloya was recently named the Dean of the Criminal College of Education. So, keeping in mind the impact East Tennessee State has on us, Dr. Aloya just wanted to come and say a few words and talk about some big plans that we have created jointly. Dr. Aloya.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, and it's a great statement that the DNA in your district and the DNA in our college are so closely joined together, and I think that bodes well for the future. Mary Beth, I want to thank you for your continued service to the college and your vision of our students out there. I appreciate that very much. I also want to thank the board members, because having been in education all of my professional life and having raised 7 kids, I know what work goes into being a board member, providing leadership, and the time you spend in the community. I appreciate that. Your service to make the schools as well as they can be, and to invest in our kids with your time and effort, along with the professional leadership within the school. And of course, when you get that Buccaneer glow with the graduates from ETSU, it just makes the room even brighter. So, I wanted to introduce myself. As Dr. Flannery said, I'm the new dean. I was hired there last year. I have had a very wonderful career in higher education, and got to know Dr. Nolan when I was a president in West Virginia. He was a chancellor. He hired me there. I told him he made the mistake twice. He hired me a second time when he hired me as his dean here. But one of the reasons I was attracted is because of what his vision has been for education, his commitment, but also the legacy of the College of Education. And we're no longer called the College of Education, we're going to be called Clemmer College. And the reason for that is when I got there, people said, you know, we impact this community in so many ways. Not just from our teachers, our elementary, our special ed, our K-12, and I think they do an amazing job, and you've got a lot of great teachers you can see in that picture there. We also make that impact in physical education and exercise science. I like to tell students who are interested in exercise science, come to a place where some professors can teach you the same way they teach Olympic athletes to win gold medals on the world stage in the Olympics. And right now I think our faculty there have a record of 1 gold, 2 silver, and 4 bronze for the 12 athletes that have competed. But then we have school counseling program, and of course our leadership programs known not only here but around the region and beyond for the great job they do in producing principals, associate principals, superintendents. So I was approached and they said, how about if we look at the name of the college, and we name it Clemmer College, named after the original gift of the college from Claudius E. Clemmer. But to move away from just the College of Ed, because we excel not just in education, we excel in counseling and education, we excel in leadership and in sport, and we will define ourselves by how we aspire to that level of excellence in those areas. So when you hear someone say Clemmer College this year, next year, the next year, next year, I want it to have the same ring when you say Peabody or Wharton or Kellogg. That's all you got to hear, and you know there's excellence tied to it. You may know it because you have a nephew who's now competing in the Olympics. You may know it because a 3rd grade teacher that teaches your wonderful child got her degree here. And you may know it because that PE coach or that exercise science person is making that difference. And oh, by the way, your superintendent, your director got the degree there, and that made that difference. That's what we were about, and that's what attracted me here. And we have an amazing a program, and I have to compliment Dr. Nolan. He has provided a lot of support and encouragement. He's also a tenured faculty member now in our educational leadership department, and we're very glad to have him on our faculty. But his commitment to education is the reason I was attracted to. Oh, by the way, I did retire for 6 hours. I announced it at 11 o'clock. Been married for 44 years. I met my wife 45 years ago. When I came home, she goes, "What are you up to?" And I said, "Well, nothing." "What are you up to?" And I said, "Well, I retired, and I'm going to just enjoy fishing, play with the grandkids." She says, "What are you?" Well, Dr. Nolan called me today, and the rest is history. I'm looking forward to the journey working with Dr. Flannery. We have several initiatives underway now. He's been very helpful in helping us shape a budgetary process for the university school. Very helpful with the expertise you have in the district and the aftercare program. We're working on that to try to provide the kind of quality program we want in our university school afterwards. We're also talking about how we're dealing with special education and other ways that we can provide leadership and services to this county and others, but in particular, how do we make a bigger impact in what we're currently doing? How do we make a difference in the schools and the quality of the teachers you hire from us, the quality of our principals and superintendents that we produce, and how we do our research and get engaged. So there are a lot of opportunities where we're already connected. I'm looking forward as the dean as well as the wonderful faculty and staff we have to encourage more of those engagements with the school. And like I said, you have one of your board members who serves us extremely well in supervising our students, and I appreciate that very much. As a professor, I can keep going, but I will stop. I gave you the signal. You've got 1 more minute, and they turn off the mic. But I will be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I'm wondering how many Buccaneer graduates are in the room right now.
How many Buccaneer graduates? Well, there's a glow in the room. I want you to know that it's more fun being a Buccaneer. I came from a university that we call the Mariners. And all Mariners do, they land, stake in a flag, and claim we're the King of Spain or something. But Buccaneers, they go into town and take riches and leave and have a lot of fun. So the Buccaneers know how to sail the seas. At any rate, thank you for inviting me. I'm going to look forward to the journey working very closely with your leadership team and our leadership team and making a difference fundamentally what? Kids in this community get a great education. Thank you.
I appreciate y'all's partnership.
One of the projects we're working on, we're hoping to embed an undergraduate education class at one of our elementary schools in spring. They'll actually meet in one of our rooms and then platoon out the undergraduate college students to platoon out and put in practice what they've learned. And, this has been done in some other places and great success. It is time now, Heath, if you'll bring up, it's already up. Heath, as usual, 2 steps ahead of me. Dr. Kite, we're going to present some test scores. We'll start with K-8.
In the initial analysis of the Washington County 2018 TCAP 10 ready results for grades 3 through 8. We compared ourselves to all school systems in the 1st district, as you can see, all school systems throughout the state, 144, 17 school systems in the 1st district, 144 in the state. And then we also looked at our 2017 results and compared our 2017 results to our 2018 results. In English Language Arts, as you can see, Washington County's 3rd through 8th grade students showed the highest percent of on-track or mastered results among county school systems in the 1st district. And of course, on-track and mastered's basically on grade level, above grade level. And you can see we also ranked 4th highest among all city and county school systems in the 1st district. When you then go to the 144 school systems throughout Tennessee, Washington County ranked 20th in the percent of students who were on track or mastered. And then within this ranking, if you only looked at county school systems, Washington County ranked 7th in the state of Tennessee in English Language Arts. Moving on
I wonder if they'll print that in the paper.
Is
All
this
we
gonna
are
be
getting
on
is
our
bad news.
website?
Maybe they'll give us some good news.
Is this gonna be on the WCDB website?
We'll see that. Okay. As we move on to mathematics, Washington County's 3rd through 8th grade students again showed the highest percent of on-track and mastered results among county school systems in the 1st district of the 17 school systems. And again, we ranked 4th highest among all city and county systems in the 1st district.
That's awesome.
Then in looking at the 144 school systems in the state of Tennessee in regard to mathematics, we ranked 28th among all 144 school systems in the state of Tennessee. And among that, of just county school systems, we were 12th in mathematics. Moving on to science. Washington County's 3rd through 8th grade students showed the highest percent of on-track and mastered among county school systems in the 1st district, and we were the 8th highest among city and county systems in the 1st district. And then when we compared ourselves throughout the state, we ranked 41st among 144 school systems, and that would be 17 when you looked at county school systems. I've talked to you several times about the Read to Be Ready results and the Read to Be Ready initiative in the state of Tennessee. That's where the state of Tennessee would like to have at least 75% of the students at the end of 3rd grade reading on grade level by 2025. So we tracked our 3rd grade students due to the Read to Be Ready initiative. And as you can see, we showed 44.5% of our students performing on or above grade level, and this was an increase in 2018 in the 3rd grade English Language Arts when compared to the 2017 results to 2018. And then we then compared our Washington County's 2018 results to our 2017 results in English Language Arts, math, and science for students in grades 3 through 8. And overall, in this comparison, there was, overall, taking all grade levels, a slight decline from the previous years. We're in that analysis at this point, looking more deeply. And at this point, we see where we've lost key personnel for various reasons that made an impact in math as well as English Language Arts. And then we, of course, look at the testing format. It was a change for us, whether it was paper or pencil, whether it was online, that format, the testing format caused some issues. And if you look at other school systems in the state and in 1st district, many of the school systems saw a decline as well, a slight decline just as we did. So at this point, would you want me to entertain questions before we go on to the...
Did you check on classroom sizes? Because I know last year I thought our classroom sizes went a little higher than
we haven't looked at that at this point, but we're getting into that deeper analysis.
I've got something to say about that a little later. too deep.
But the state of Tennessee we're within the guidelines of the state.
Oh, yes, we met all the
In all
requirements as far as
cases,
class
yes.
size. With this went last year and this year as well, currently, on the third day of school.
Any kindergarten through 8th grade questions for Dr. Cotton? Well, K-8 school's getting it done. Let's look at a high school scoring too. I didn't do the state because I don't seem to have as much time as I used to. But in the Northeast Tennessee district, we're looking at English language arts. Washington County is the #1 county system in all of Northeast Tennessee. I think for like the 4th or 5th year in a row. And the #4 system overall. Now listen to this. Who beat us? Johnson City, Greenville, and Kingsport. Keep that in mind. By the way, looking at all high schools, all tests across the district or the region, every test was down about 0.75%, and I would never say that was because of the testing debacle last year. I'm too professional. So let's go ahead with the next slide. Looking at mathematics, we are the #2 county school system in Northeast Tennessee, #7 overall. Listen to who bested us: Johnson City, Greenville, Kingsport, Bristol, Hamlin County. I don't know how they did it, but we were close. But think again who's beating us. Next slide is science. #3 county school system. Science is where we're hurting. And we'll hopefully put a little bit more resources into that starting in the morning with some bus ad money. And the systems that bested us again: Greenville, Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol, Greene County, and Hamlin County. We've got to figure out what they're doing, and then us. Finally, in United States history, we are once again the top county school system in Northeast Tennessee, and 6th overall. And here's this broken record: Kingsport, Greenville, Johnson City, Bristol, Elizabeth, and beats. So it's these systems with double tax bases and the right amount of funding. They say money doesn't matter. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
I'll tell you why it matters.
Yeah.
If I can leave Washington County and go to a city school and make $10,000 more, it matters.
I don't want to read to you, but next year, this is the best information we have. Kids in grades 3-8 are going to be taking paper tests in math, English, and social studies. The state has decided they don't. I'm just going to shut up. Students in grades 3 and 4 will take science tests on paper. The older kids will take science tests online. Science next year is a field test. It won't count. In fact, we'll take the test and nobody will ever even see the scores. So we'll take them so that the state can use them for benchmark purpose. Every high school test given this year will be online, and they have completely done away with the Chemistry 1 in the course test and the Junior English in the course test. I applaud that action. I think by that time in a student's high school career, we ought to be focusing on the ACT test because that's the score that makes the difference. Lastly, we do have the TVOS or growth numbers in hand. I cannot say what they are publicly because they are embargoed until Monday morning. I will only say that there's at least one high school principal in the room that will be extremely happy when those are made public. And it's a mixed bag. But any questions about the high school scores or again any school? We'll move forward. All right. Well, we have in hand, and you have in your Dropbox, an invoice from the Tennessee School Systems for Equity Organization. I'll give you a moment to find that if you care to. I've forgotten even how much it's for. Looks like $4,500. The invoice shown is on 24th of July. I telephoned Mr. Wayne Qualls with a request for him to provide information about the organization's activities over the past year. He indicated he would have someone send me that information, but as of today, we have received nothing from them, save this invoice. Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it in your hands to take whatever.
Well, since we know, what have they done in the past? Anyone know? Dr. Any of you?
I don't know what they've done in the past year.
I would think that this needs to be held off until we get information about what they do provide us. And then we can hold off on this. There's not a due date, is there?
There doesn't seem to be one on the invoice.
Like, when our membership would run out?
Just,
There's not a date for membership to run out, does it?
it just says 18, 19, and my sense of it is they'll take your money and be glad to have it anytime you choose to send it.
Is that, does the board feel the same way until we find out what they do for us?
You'd think they'd be able to send us something of their benefits for us to be membership of it.
Yeah, at least a fax
Matter
or
of fact,
copy or
that's
emailed you a
kind of
copy.
what we want.
And without exception, I will, yes, I'm sorry, please.
He's been here before, but it's been several years since he's been here for any kind of discussion or report.
I just think we need to hold off until
I agree.
we get some information from you. Just bring it to the next board meeting once you get the information.
Did the original, does anybody know if the original contract had a set number of years on it?
Oh, we have been members of that organization since 2008. I believe we were inaugural members of that organization.
So is there a cancellation clause in the contract, or?
I've never seen the contract.
I hate to put you on the spot, but you don't know of anything since 2008 that they've done?
They do not communicate with me at all. You know, I've only been doing this for a few weeks.
Yeah, I didn't know if you'd have heard through even the grapevine of being in the central office.
Grapevine has been silent.
Right. Well, that's definitely something we need to look into.
Their website is a bit bleak as well. It's hard to get information.
It's been at least 3 years, if not maybe 4 or 5 since he's been a while.
My question would be is, do we need to invest in this any longer? Is it anything that
That's what we're trying to find out.
I mean, we haven't heard, you know, it used to be a big thing to be SACS accredited. It's not any longer.
It's the wishes of the board, what
We
they
need to
want
wait
to do.
until we get some info, I think.
Just wait until.
Mr. Burleson, I promise you, next month you'll be first on the record report. Thank you for your patience.
It's okay, good evening.
Good evening.
In spite of the weather, we're still making some progress. We're about 54% complete on the site work and 41.5% complete on the school. To show you this plan here, and then I'll show you some pictures after this. The A-wing, the roof is on it. A lot of the walls have finished coat paint on it. Ceiling grid's going in, all the piping's done, the hard tile's going in the bathrooms, and it's coming along, all the windows are in. Same thing on B, but it's just a little bit behind. The C wing there, the roofs are on the C wing all the way up to where it butts into D. E has got the roof completely on it. A lot of the mechanical piping is done in E. The masonry is done in D, and the trusses will be set on D next week, and we'll be able to tie B, C, D, and E all together. The masons are now working in the gymnasium in the F building, basically in the cafeteria, kitchen area, to get those walls up so we can get the roof on. Hopefully, if weather cooperates with us mid-September, we should have the joist set and the deck on and most of the roof on the gymnasium and cafeteria area. This is from the top of the hill looking back toward, just to show you I don't think people realize how big that school is. It's a pretty large school. When you set off, I think it sits on 57 acres. Takes up, that footprint takes up a big part of it. That's the A wing to the right, gymnasium to the left. The C and the D wing is straight out to the front. This is looking at this shot was taken last week before the Masons got started. That's the loading dock at the cafeteria. That is the A wing, and the D wing at the top of the picture. You can just barely see part of the C wing and the D wing right there. This is looking back. This is the D wing right here with the masonry. It doesn't have the trusses on it. Those are the ones you're going to set next week. You got the 2 C wings sticking out. That picture was also made last week. The masonry's done in that area, and the trusses will go in starting on Monday. That's a retaining wall that parallels Moons Creek Road. It is just about that part is just about up. They're getting ready to turn the corner. And that'll be good to get that in, because then we can start the main driveway in.
Is there gonna be a fence between that wall and the driveway?
There is. There's a fence on top of all those walls. That's just another shot. Shows that's back a little bit, looking back toward the first ceiling. This is looking back toward the main entry as you're coming up in the parking lot. That's what you'll be. That's kind of ground level. You'll be looking right back that way. That's the B wing on the left and the C wing on the right, and the administration of the D area under the tower right there.
Is the tower, is that the principal's office?
That's the principal's office is behind that.
I thought maybe that.
It's just barely. If you've been up Highland Church Road, we did get the power line, the new power post set. The power company has moved the power. Now we're waiting on the cable company, the telephone company, to move their lines so we can take the old poles down. We've got to get the old poles down before we can hook the storm drainage up for the road, which kind of works hand in hand. But we're kind of at the mercy of the utility companies there. As soon as they get that out of the way, we'll get that started and start working on the rest of it. It's moving right along. This time next year, there'll be students in there. So, any questions?
What about Johnny? Has he started any work on the Highland Church Road? When's that going to happen?
The power poles had to be moved first, and they've actually put up a fence over on Alex's property to back it up to the right of way. So it's in. So we're not worried about any of those prize bulls getting out to the roadway.
Could you go back to the financial page just a minute?
Sure.
We paid out 10 million so far, 10-4.
Almost 12. Well, the school's paid out 10, right? And the county's paid out 1.8 on site work. Anything else? We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got some. When can we come and tour again, Tommy?
Whenever you want to. I'd pick a day when it's not raining.
Do you have a suggestion on one of those days?
Within 2 weeks, you're going to be able to see a little bit more. Okay, because but anytime, and hope, one of the forecasts says it's going to dry up a little bit next week, maybe, and it just makes it easier to get in and out. I mean, you're more welcome to come through the mud. That's not a problem. But once you get inside the building, it's clean. I mean, we're getting ready to finish
At round table, let's talk about that. If you could.
Just let us know. We can do it anytime. And we break, you do it all together. We break down smaller groups. It doesn't make any difference. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, rumors have been rampant all over this county. The school started this week. I have been to several schools and can confirm those rumors to be true. We looked at today's numbers versus the last day of school last year. Let me preface this by saying I'm going to send each board member some pretty hard numbers tomorrow afternoon with the weekly report. Bearing in mind that first week numbers are notoriously volatile, and just like in days of past, it's really after Labor Day before it really gets concrete. Right now, we're down about 32 students system-wide. The K-8 schools are actually down about 98 students, and the two high schools are up 66 students. Boone, including Asbury students, is back up over 1,300 students, which is good news. Grandview is the big loser, down about 49 students, but still at 97% enrollment. So there's no empty space out there by any means. Boones Creek Middle School is the big gainer. They're up about 28 students. They're at 97% enrollment. We have 0 classes that are over the statute maximum at this time. We do believe, now we've got a few that are a little high. We're keeping an eye on 6 classes that are in the K-3 level. May have to do something there, but hope we can do some shifting in-house. We will almost certainly have to add a teacher in the 7th grade Gray Elementary School. Brad says he can find the money, and that this has already been advertised, or at least I've instructed it to be advertised. So we've got the budget capacity for that. And again, I'm going to send expanded enrollment data, and tomorrow's update can answer any questions that you'll have. And before I finish, Mr. Chairman, Mike Masters, Jack Leonard, and Clarence May, thank you for your service. Students in Washington County schools are better off because you have been on the school board.
Real quick, I had a question about that. Are there any schools that are closed enrollment?
We have no closed enrollment schools. My predecessor lifted that across the board, and this board has taken no action otherwise since I've been sitting here. But what we do have, though, are these maximum enrollment numbers. I've given orders that if a Johnson City student wants to enroll, we're going to put them in class. Out-of-county students, we're looking at on a one-on-one basis. There's budgetary issues there. But, if we've got space, we're not in the position to find a student. We're still taking as we can, but we're being very selective about out-of-county students.
Do we have any schools that are at capacity?
A moment, please. I don't know if I've got that. Okay, without even looking, yes, we've probably got a couple that are over 100%, but come back to me, please, because I've got it somewhere in this notebook.
Ridgeview is one of those that's...
Ridgeview was right at it. I just found it. University School, of all things, is at 110%. Not that that's an issue for us tonight. It says that Ridgeview is sitting at 121% enrollment.
And it's not closed.
No.
Is that...
That's one of those schools where we say, if a student wants to go into that school, we'll have to say, well, what grade? See, we may have a slot in 3rd grade, whereas 6th grade, there's no way. So we look at it on a student-by-student basis.
So we can turn people down based on the grade level.
Yeah, but we're just not going to. We try to stay well below the statute maximum in every class because we don't want to overcrowd these classes. And we have pretty well said that in pre-K through 8, 30 is the maximum. We're going to take it any grade, no matter what the law says. High school's another matter. High school's easy, but you can always move students around because we're on a block schedule and we've got over 100 courses offered at each school. It says here that Jonesboro Elementary School is right at 100% enrollment. So that's the 2 that are at capacity, and Ridgeview is at extreme capacity. And hopefully that when the new school opens in August, organically those students will move toward the new Boones Creek Elementary School. Yes, ma'am.
My problem is this board did not vote to open enrollment on all schools.
You are quite correct.
Now, she done something that she wasn't allowed to do. So we need to close enrollment. Now, that's why we closed enrollment.
What schools were closed before they were opened? Does that question make sense?
South.
Go ahead.
South Central was open, and Sulphur Springs was open, Westview, and Bob Ranch.
And all the others were closed enrollment.
The only way you could go to that school was...
Except the high schools. The high schools were open.
The only way you could go to that school was you was going to build a house in that school and you could zone to go to that school.
Or a parent worked there.
Or a parent worked there. That's the way it was. And then somebody changed it.
Well, the discussion that I remember when she changed it, and Mr. Ganger, you might help me on this a little bit. What she talked about was if there were empty seats in a classroom. If a kid came to one of our schools that had been closed, and there was a third grade student, and third grade class in that school was below the average, and there were empty seats there, then we would accept those kids. But if third grade was busting at the seams in one of the third grade classes, then she would not allow that kid to be enrolled there.
Well, I could
That was
swallow
the discussion, am I right?
Just exactly what Dr. Flannery said.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I could swallow that if the school's not busting it to 123%.
Bridge
You know?
that's a different issue.
So, I don't think,
And I think in building the new school out there, there was always the idea of redistricting to relieve that overflow at Ridgeview. And, I mean, that's why the school was built as big as it is. It's because it was going to relieve some of those. So,
That might be something we need to look at now, because people literally, I know Dr. Harrell had said at some of our meetings that they call you, realtors call you to see in the district. So that's something that we might need to look at before we open the school. Setting some boundaries or whatever.
well,
Help us.
if a parents is taking the kids to school anyway, so they're gonna haul them to Boones Creek and get their youngins in the old Boones Creek, because we're up 45 or 47 kids, just to be able to get them to go into the new school.
We got one there.
Well, I know we'll have room there, but still, it's wrong. It's not, we, as a board, set policy to close enrollment in schools.
Can we
You know, that's.
can we vote to close the enrollment?
We did not vote to open enrollment in schools. I know.
but we didn't tell her not to do it.
That's right.
You know, she didn't do it on her own. She explained it to the board. And we just chose to agree with her. So she didn't do something without informing you, Mr. Irvin.
A lot of times, rules are to guide you, not to confine you. In this situation, if we got a room, space open for a kid in the 5th grade, without making us over, then do it. What a mercy. We have so many no's and no's that we're getting. Let's be good to our parents and kids.
Brad, has you seen any, with what we're hearing, number-wise for our BEP, is that?
Well,
I mean, I know it's gonna be in for next year, but number-wise, what kind of, what are we looking at based on his numbers now? I mean, an increase, I take it, right?
Okay, so this year on the BEP, maybe I should start there. This year on the BEP, we had an increase in dollar amount of roughly $750,000 to $800,000. We did still lose enrollment. Now the reason that was still a dollar amount increase is the per student funding amount went up. So even though we lost enrollment, the ones that we had left, we were getting more funding for. Now that $750,000 to $800,000 was nowhere near enough to cover the added expense that we had to incur this year, because we had to incur about an additional $2.2 million. So that's where we were still in a deficit. The BEP, basically right now, the average is roughly just a little over $4,000, $4,000 to $4,100 for every student we average in BEP funds. So if you're talking closing enrollment, if that's a student that we don't get because of that, then right now that average is $4,000 to $4,100 in BEP money we would lose, not counting local tax revenue support. If that student was coming from out of county, you're not going to realize local tax revenue support. Roughly, that's around $3,400 to $3,500 a student right now as well.
I would say that some of these kids coming into Boones Creek are from Johnson City.
Yeah, do you know where they're coming from?
And they are coming to go there so that they can go to the new school.
If in fact.
Picked up 14.
And
From the city.
so, That's
If-
good for us.
Yes,
It is.
if in
Which that's
fact
what we
that's
was
the
working
case.
towards, I think.
Yeah, that's the goal, pick up Johnson.
If in fact that's the case, if the way the 88 split's calculated with the city and county, that doubles the effect
Yeah,
of
the
local
money
tax
is
revenue.
done.
So that is, funding wise, yes.
It
that
go up.
Significantly, if it's a Johnson City student.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we should leave it in place as it is now and take it case by case basis until the new school is open.
Because it's going to be redistricted.
And if there is a need, maybe close enrollment at Ridgeview, but then again, if you've got grade levels that have openings,
I would say next year that there'll be a relief to Ridgeview because of what they will do. I mean, the kids that overflow there, when they do the boundaries, they'll have the opportunity to probably go to the new school.
because really this conversation will take place in the spring with the new school opening in fall of 19. They'll have to do some. Well, let me say this. I went to Lamar Monday or Tuesday to watch the buses come in. And I watched 7 buses come into that school and unload 134 kids. Of almost 500 kids in that school. So now you're saying that it's all right that them parents decide that they are not happy at Lamar or wherever, that they can drive their kids right on up to Boones Creek and unload them up there.
Well, I'm just saying that case by case basis until we get the new school. I'm just throwing that out there. And then we're gonna have to do some redistricting when the new school's open. I was just throwing that out there because we're hopefully gonna be open fall.
Well, there's nothing there that we've not got in place to stop anybody from taking the kids. There may be an opening, may not be. If they want to go on up there and unload at Boones Creek or wherever, they can.
Wouldn't they have to go through the central office and the screening process, is what I'm saying.
Mr. Murphy, did you want to speak?
Yes, our current practice now is we have 4 open schools, as they said earlier. Fall Branch, South Central, Westview, and Sulphur Springs. All the other schools are truly closed. If a parent wants to take their child to that school, and we've gained several Johnson City students this way, they come to my office, I call the principal and ask if they have a slot in that grade, and the parent signs a performance contract. They know they must provide transportation, they have to be on time, that kind of thing, and then we put them in school. But no student is put in a closed school unless there's room for them there. And I have interviewed, I don't know, maybe 150 people this 2 weeks up to right now, requesting things as this, like this.
I think there's a misconception here. And I might be wrong, but the school is open if there's a position in a grade. It's not necessarily open, Keith, for you to take your kid from Lamar to Boones Creek. It's not open like that. It's open now if you wanted to, and if 3rd grade kid, there's a spot, and you could probably do that through central office and seeing it, but you can't just jerk a kid and go somewhere else.
If I may give an example, at Ridgeview, we're averaging about 17 students per class in the 2nd grade, so we've got a little space there. We can add a kid or 2. In the 5th grade, we're 23 kids in a class. Jim's not gonna let anybody go there unless they move into that district or their parent teaches there. When he says closed, it's not a matter of the superintendent or the board closing it. It's purely a matter of capacity. I mean, it's a functional closed. Not because somebody's told him to do something. He's using his discretion to put students in a place where there's not going to create overcrowding. It works.
I have a question. Could you kind of give us a summary of the HUE committee meeting?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to do that now or at the end?
During finance.
Finance?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I ask a question about the enrollment and so forth? 10 years ago, when we were struggling to redistrict for Ridgeview and Grandview, what I remember is that we talked about keeping our schools at a 90% capacity to allow for students moving into the district. I guess my question is to the director and the rest of the board, is that still a goal that we have, is to try to hold them at 90%? I mean, I believe you said Ridgely was at 121?
I'm sorry, John. 121%, yes.
Wow. That's a long way from 90% to hold 10% capacity for new subdivisions or new families moving into a particular school district. That's a big difference.
But I think that's what the redistricting formulas will do. I mean, if we set it at 90%, it will redistrict to where you would have that 90% cushion.
That's what we did 10 years ago.
Yeah, so that would be up to the board, I guess. If you wanted it 90 or 95, I mean, you're gonna have to, that would be something you all have to decide when you redistrict.
That jump wasn't sudden, it was actually operating at 117% in school layout last year. It's only jumped 25 students, so this isn't a new phenomenon.
It's been open 10 years? 11?
2008, since 2011.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Flannery, for your report. Very informative and appreciate it. On our next item on the agenda, we have a request to address the board. Is Ms. Smith present? Ms. Smith present? All right. And the other item under request to address the board, Ms. Astrop, she withdrew.
Can I still speak? I have something.
No, because you have to get approval from what you want to say. I'm sorry.
I'll get on the next one.
Okay. Thank you. Y'all want to take a 5-minute break, or please, until we get to committee reports? Okay, let's do a 5-minute break.
Invite them. Not that you're remember either. If I don't see you, John, I wish you could go from good people. Grab my hand.
Okay, I'll do
It's been
that.
on my list for long week, and I keep getting everything.
Let me go ahead and call our meeting back to order. And we'll start with our agenda item here with the committee reports, and we'll start with our athletic committee report, and Ms. Buchanan.
Do I need to read it? Anybody? All right. We do not have any recommendations at this time. A lot of it was just cleanup.
So you're submitting the
So I'm
report?
submitting the report for approval.
We have a motion on the table for approval of the report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. McLean. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the report say aye.
Aye.
I think that, all nays, I don't think we have any nays. I think it passes. You had no recommendations? All right, thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Or does anybody have any questions of Ms. Buchanan? Okay. Finance Committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll pass the report around to you. Since we just met today, I will read the report to you. Finance Committee met on Thursday, August 9, 2018 at 4:30 p.m. in Central Office. Those present for the meeting were Chairman Philip McLean, committee members Dr. Holcomb, Todd Ganger, David Hammond, Annette Buchanan, Interim Director of Schools Dr. Bill Flannery, Director of Finance Brad Hale. Also in attendance were Assistant Finance Angela Gwynn and Paul Masters. Committee considered the general fund financial statement for the month of June. Committee recommends approval. Committee considered the federal fund financial statement for the month of June and recommends approval. Ridgeview Principal Dr. Kelly Harrell made the committee aware of fencing need for safety issues during recess. She presented 3 price quotes that she had gathered. Since all quotes were $10,000 or over, the committee approved recommending the project be put out for bid. Maintenance Supervisor Philip Patrick presented bids for a new mower through the NJPA quote. If you want to know what that is, you'll have to ask him. The committee recommends approval for the Tri-City mower quote of $32,189. Mr. Patrick also presented an opportunity to revise the Syntac contract under the U.S. Communities Co-op pricing for a possible savings of $7,000 annually. Committee recommends approval. Dr. Flannery presented a proposal for the capital funds in technology, and the committee recommends approval. Dr. Flannery also presented an offer of $5,500 from CenturyLink to lease property at David Crockett High School for 20 years, and the committee recommends approval. Move for approval of the report, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion on the table for the report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hammonds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. McLean?
Thank you, sir. Committee recommends approval of the general fund financial statement for the month of June 2018.
We have a form of that in a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Buchanan. Discussion? Ms. Jennifer?
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters? Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, sir. This committee recommends approval of the federal fund financial statement for the month of June 2018.
We have that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hammond. Any discussion? Ms. Jennifer?
Mr. Masters? Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ridgeview Principal Dr. Kelly Harrell made the committee aware of fencing need for safety during recess. She presented 3 price quotes she gathered. All quotes were above $10,000. And we recommend putting it out for bid, sir.
Have that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hammond. Discussion?
Where's this going?
Yeah, where's the fence going?
Hold on.
you know where the fence is now out front, the U-shaped fence? From there back toward the school building, and it's to put a playground in, and they've got a little bit of money started for more playground. Part of the problem is now they've got some of the third grade kids that come out. The pink that you see on there is where this fence would go, and it would complete the fence that's already out there now. The U-shape that you see has already got the green fencing that we put up 10 years ago, so they could practice soccer out there. And that fence was put up for a safety issue, so if the ball went out in the main road, the kids wouldn't be running out there. Her request for this fence is so those third graders won't run out in that parking area or out toward where the car riders are and so forth. She has 3 quotes. They're all over $10,000, and that's why it needs to go out to a bid. And Mr. Hale has already checked with the auditors to make sure that's the appropriate process.
Have you looked at it, Philip?
Yes.
You good?
Well, absolutely.
Safety seemed to be the primary issue at the board committee meeting today.
What committee did we talk about the fencing on the ball field? Did we have some complaints? Could we incorporate this bid with that?
Where it's Ridgeview, that has been taken care of with the people that owns the property put their own fence up and
I didn't
save money.
I hadn't been out there, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
We okayed her.
Any other discussions? All right, do a roll call vote for Jennifer, please.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin? Mr. May? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patrick presented bids for a new mower through an NJPA quote. The committee recommends approval of the Tri-City mower quote of $32,189. This doesn't have to go out through a bid process like other things over $10,000 because we're approved to buy based on quoted prices through NJPA. Did I say that correctly, Mr. Patrick?
Yes, sir.
Thank
I
you.
would just add that NJPA does the bidding themselves.
And then we can buy based on
Yes.
the prices that come in.
That's why the auditors have been okay.
This moment, I'll wait till you get your second.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Do I have a second? Second. Second, Mr. May, discussion, and Mr. McLean, you want to?
It's my understanding that this mower mows a much wider path than the ones we currently have, which are worn out. And their hope is that this will save some manpower time. And this will be used primarily on the larger pieces of land, and the smaller mowers will be used on the smaller areas.
Any other discussion about it?
What brand you going with?
Looking at going with the X-Mark. Seems to be a better quality mower than what we've been buying in the past.
What width cut is this? Is this?
96.
It's got two wings that lays down the motor.
We call it a batwing mower.
Zero turn?
Batwing mower.
Bat wings?
Zero turn or?
Zero turn, yes, sir.
Pretty good size mower then.
Big, yeah, it's got a diesel engine on it. The deck itself built heavier than the Hustler mower. Very high speed blades.
What kind of warranty does this have?
I would assume a 1-year warranty, but
Any other discussion?
engine warranty is 5 year.
5 years.
Yeah.
About the pumps. Did it say what the pumps is?
Sir?
The pumps?
It has them.
I know, but what's the warranty on them?
It does not specify.
Are they an extended warranty that we can buy? Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Can I amend the motion if we buy this thing that we see about an extended warranty on it? If there's one available? If we purchase it too?
See about it. Anyway.
Do what?
We can see about it. I mean,
Well, if we're gonna spend $32,000, we ought to be able to spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000
That's
or
what I said, so we
$1,000.
can see about it anyway. I mean, you said you were gonna amend it to see about it.
Well, see about it, or go ahead and purchase an extended warranty on it, if
Mr.
it's
Chairman,
available.
if I may recommend, let's go ahead and vote to buy it or not. And if we vote to buy it, let's ask Mr. Patrick to check on that and bring it back to us next month. Is that all right?
Next finance committee.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Mr. Patrick, is that all right with you?
Absolutely, I serve at the discretion of the director.
Thank you.
He doesn't say anything about warranty on the paperwork, but I'm sure that that big of item will have something. Any more discussion? All right, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger? Mr. Irvin? Mr. May? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters? Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Mr. McLean?
I should have added that, that item, the dollars for that is in the current budget, according to Mr. Hayden, so we're good on the finances for it. Next item, Mr. Patrick also presented an opportunity to revise the Syntac contract under the U.S. Communities Co-op pricing for possible savings of $7,000 annually. I put that in the form of a motion. And that'll be a new contract for $7,000 less than the previous contract is in. And that's the company that provides our uniforms for our various maintenance people and so forth, and also the mats going into our buildings.
I have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Masters. Discussion. This is going to save us $7,000 from renewing it next year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion?
How much is the contract currently?
I don't have a total, because sometimes it'll float around. If we lose a maintenance man, we'll lose a set of uniforms, or pick up one, we'll pick up a set.
Ballpark?
This must be a one, I've got an invoice here for 1 month, which would be $677, so. That would be all. Is that right? That would be all up.
Not if it's a $7,000 savings a year, it costs $677 a month, that would only be $8,400 a year, so. I can pull a report, and I'll have to go to my system, pull a report on
You might tell us at the next finance committee meeting if you would, it'd be good.
Any other discussion? Do a roll call vote. Ms. Jennifer, please.
Mr. Ganger? Mr. Irvin? Mr. May? Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters? Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Flannery, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Dr. Flannery presented a proposal for the capital funds and technology, and the committee recommends approval. And we recommend approval, and there may be some questions, and I'll be glad to let Dr. Flannery answer this for you.
All right. Let's have got a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Dillinger. Any discussion? This would be a good time to ask Dr. Flannery, I guess, what was discussed.
This is exactly the technology plan that you saw at your retreat and got there. The difference being, you adopted a technology plan in the amount of $820,000. The cap should have been $640,000. This is my fault. We were using an internal document that the county commission had never seen. They had never anticipated a capital fund outlay in excess of $640,000. That's essentially all the money you had to spend. And I didn't have enough information in hand to advise you not to spend more than $640,000. I did not feel that it was proper for me to go back to HEW with an amount other than what you had approved. That's why I'm coming back to the board to ask you to approve the original plan. And as far as exactly what's on it, I'm going to turn that over to my friend and colleague Curtis Fullback, because I didn't bring it with me. You got it in front of you, outstanding.
Thank you, Dr. Flannery. The $640,000 that we were planning on using this year would purchase clear touch panels for each kindergarten classroom. A ViewSonic panel for each 5th grade classroom. Audio enhancement devices for all 8th grade classrooms. An audio enhancement unit for each classroom, approximately 50, at the new Boones Creek School. And Chromebook mobile labs for our high school math teachers who do not currently have one, and for 13 8th grade math classrooms. Questions?
And all that adds up to $640,000.
Yes, sir.
What's good about this, it's the old saying where a tire meets the road, this is where it meets the students, and it's great. Probably the best money we spent all year, as far as the students.
Anything else?
One other question, where we're gonna be the next year?
I'm sorry?
What's our request gonna be for the next year?
If I had to,
the sheet I'm looking at shows technology again the next year for 640, and again in 2021 for 640,000.
our original plan, this was approved June of 2016, when it was approved by the commission. The original intent was to provide for those mobile Chromebook labs, first for ELA, and then mathematics at the high schools, and 8th grade. Subsequent years will push those down to ELA and mathematics, 7th grade, following year, 6th grade, and then the 5th grade. Well, let me back up on the 5th grade. The following year we would start looking at replacing the devices that we did in year 1. We're trying to approach this, and we're tried to approach it as technology, such as these Chromebooks, should be considered like a utility. We have to have them to teach these students. So if we were to do this next year, I would see us doing this in the 7th grade as well. And then expanding the audio enhancement to our high schools.
Do we not have some audio enhancement in high school?
We have 2 at each high school.
2?
Yeah, and that's when we first, we obtained 26 units for us to test drive, if you will, that we ended up purchasing.
What do we have, what groups do we have covered now in high school? All of the ELA?
Are we talking about Chromebook labs?
Yes,
Yes,
now.
ma'am.
We have all of it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And all ELA in 8th grade.
Okay. Well, part of the reason that we are not purchasing textbooks is because parents are assuming that they're gonna have the technology, am I right?
That's what my understanding is.
Okay. So we pretty much got to do something, don't we, one way or the other?
Yes, ma'am.
But don't we still have some online textbook cost based on the Chromebooks? Or is everything done online through resources that don't cost us anything?
The bulk of what we're using the Chromebooks for are Canvas. That's our LMS, or Learning Management System. Okay. That we're using in the high schools in 8th grade. And then we're using IXL in the lower grades, particularly 2 through 4. We have a couple of schools that have pushed it down to kindergarten and 1st grade, Fall Branch and Jonesboro Elementary, and I think Grandview. Is Grandview here? You have it outside the 2nd and 4th grade as well for IXL, is that right?
We pay for it with our school
Yeah.
funds.
District-wide, it's 2 through 4, and then we have some schools that are going beyond that. So, yeah, it's, online learning is everywhere in our system.
And you have to buy licenses.
Correct.
To be, that's the cost.
Yes.
Do we have any Chromebooks that are still stored that have not been dispersed to the schools?
The 700 that we were going to assign to high school seniors. We are preparing them for cards to be used in the high schools, so we can get a more bang for the buck, if you will.
So when will those go out?
We're working on them right now. I expect by the time we have the next board meeting, they will have been out.
You meant juniors, not seniors.
Well, juniors last year, seniors this year.
Will those all go to the high school?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, the county commission, when they set that up, this is a good chunk of money that doesn't have to come out of our budget.
Right.
You know, and it's coming out of that money that, you know, the citizens are now paying with those taxes is helping to fund this.
We saw the cost of our software going up, especially when we started implementing IXL, the campus that I spoke about. We needed help with the hardware, and the commission graciously helped us with this plan, 6-year plan of $640,000 a year.
You know, other systems don't have that in this area, do they?
No.
I mean, we're very fortunate here in Washington County.
I think our test scores are starting to show the importance of it.
When we beat all the other county systems, it's obvious to me we're doing something right for our students. Thank you, Mr. Curtis. We appreciate it.
Is there anything else that you need to share with us before we vote on this recommendation?
With the Western Plain, is there any desire on the part of the Finance Committee for me to talk about HEW on this morning?
Yeah, after we vote on this, I would think so. I think everybody needs to be concerned, yes.
All right, there's no more discussion. Let's vote on the recommendation that was made.
Does everybody fully understand what you're voting on?
We're going back to the original one that was for $640,000 for the next 3 years.
This will just be for this current fiscal
year.
19, current year.
Okay, current year. Okay. Any other? Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Aye.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Mr. Dr. Flannery?
All right, and Mr. Patrick, please listen intently, correct me if I get any of this wrong.
Jack, I had one more thing.
Okay, wait a minute.
I had one more
Well,
thing.
you want to do the whole report before he discusses that instead of talking about it now?
Yes.
Okay,
Let's
go
get
ahead with
this
the last one.
one more small issue taken care of. Dr. Flannery also presented us with an offer of $5,500 from CenturyLink to lease the property at David Crockett High School for 20 years. Committee recommends approval. I put this in the form of a motion. The previous contract was for 20 years, and it was signed by John Conley, and it was only $3,600 for a lease of 20 years. And it's a 30 by 30 on Old State Route 34, where you see the little telephone box.
It's in your drawer.
It's not, I have a hard copy here if you need to look at it. It's right across from the Shell Roadrunner.
The only concern that came up was that our cross-country track team does run through there, and we want to be sure that it's in the contract that they do not put a fence around that 30 by 30.
Has that been discussed with him?
Not yet.
It will be.
Will be.
All right. Any other, we have that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Ganger. Any more discussion?
Yes.
The money that comes from this, since it's DCHS property, can we not send that back to the school?
That's, I guess, the wishes of the board. What is the money been going that we have been collecting?
Since we haven't collected it in 20 years, I rather doubt it was part of your revenue package this year.
It was not.
So in
I actually
local
did know
terms,
about it.
it's crazy.
So can we send the gravy back to the?
If a plurality of the board, well put.
I just said that.
If a plurality of the board wishes it to go back to the school.
The schools or the school?
The school where it is located.
Let's do this. Let's go ahead and vote on this, and then you can bring up your, if you want to make a motion of where you want it to go, and then we can have discussion. Okay? Well, then we'll have discussion about where it's going to go. Okay?
I got something else.
About this? Okay, go ahead.
I think we should ask for 10,000, not 5,500.
Do you want to touch on what Dr. Bennett?
The negotiations have been conducted for us by your attorney, Scott Bennett. Their original offer or initial offer was $500, and Mr. Bennett just said no, he wouldn't even send that to you. And he went back to them and they countered with $5,500. And from what I have in hand, the emails that I've been copied on from them, that's about where they're going.
But we have the property and they're on it. So who has the upper hand?
The Board of Education.
Darn right with this. If they didn't have the money, it'd be different.
So that's their concrete pad.
$500 a year.
That's their concrete pad.
I believe it's asphalt, yes, it's their paint. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's my opinion.
Any other discussion?
Pig gets fatter and the hog goes to slaughter, so let's just vote on it.
Yeah. Ms. Jennifer?
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dillinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters? Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. All right, motion passes. Ms. Buchanan, did
And
you have?
I'd like to make a motion that this money for the property is rented from Crockett, so it needs to remain at Crockett. So I'd like the $5,500 to go back to that Crockett High School.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A second.
Can I discuss something?
We're in
Okay.
discussion.
All right, you're gonna ask her.
No.
Should we maybe send it to cross country? Let them use it. They're cross country, you know, it goes across there. Maybe they can go through there, ship it
Bridge or
across.
something over it. Right.
You know, because I don't know if it ever got done, but it was in discussions one time to do a cross-country course around Crockett.
Yeah.
And I don't, did it get finished up behind the
There was at
greenhouse and
one time
all
they
that?
wanted to build
I
a
thought they
bridge.
did. I thought it was all finished. Yes,
Build a what?
it is all finished.
A bridge?
It was at one time they was talking about building a bridge across the
No,
creek.
no, we didn't do that, no.
That's what I thought.
Well,
We have two bridges across the
But I'd
creek
like to see
already.
maybe that money go to cross-country. That'd be a nice little, much for them, but.
Mr. May?
No, I agree
You
with you.
agree with? Okay. Any other?
Can I amend the motion
I'll second his
to,
amendment.
for us to go to cross-country?
All right. We have an amendment to the original motion, so we have to have a second on his amendment. Keith, you did? Okay. We have a second on that amendment and discussion on it. Let's vote on the amendment first. And since it's dealing with money, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin? Mr. May?
Yeah.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dillinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. All right, now let's go back to the original motion. Any more discussion on it? And that is just to accept that it would go back to Crockett. Okay? Go ahead and do a roll call vote on that one, please.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin? Mr. May?
Yeah.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dillinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Y'all with Peggy and then the track people know? Yes.
I was gonna say, that completes my report for the 24th time under your reign as chairman of this board. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, you're welcome.
May I bring up something before you start yours?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'd like to bring up a situation we've got. And afterwards, I'd like to make a motion. our teacher salary is comparable to all the rest of the county schools. We're in pretty good shape there. Not great, but pretty good shape. Our principal's salary is bad. When a principal of one of our elementaries can go to Johnson City as a kindergarten teacher and get a $5,000 raise, we got a problem. We have lost 25 administrators in the last 2 years because every year they get a better offer and they go, and I can't blame them. So with that said, I'd like to make a motion that we add to each principal's supplement immediately $10,000 and the assistant principal's $5,000. After talking to Mr. Flannery, I think his comment was, if we do that, our principals will stay, or going to get a chance to stay. And I make that form of motion.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Masters. Discussion?
I think we need to look at the budget, number one.
See if we got it.
The funds that we have, number two, and I don't see how we could vote on this tonight. I think that Mr. Hale needs to do a study like he did on some other positions within the system. I understand it, I like it, but you're talking a lot of money. You're talking, off the top of my head,
$259,840.
I was gonna say $250,000.
We've already, I wouldn't have brought it to you if I hadn't asked that question first. If we had
That's
the
the first
money.
time I've heard about it.
I know.
So, I mean, I'm not against it.
I know.
But I need somebody to tell me we've got the money and we're gonna have it year after year after year, because this is reoccurring money when you go to give $250,000 raise to somebody. I think we've got great principals. I wish we could keep them all, okay? But from a finance standpoint, it really concerns me, Mr. Mayor.
Why don't we ask them if we have the money?
But that was my next question. Since you all have discussed it,
Yeah.
and you were aware and even know the numbers,
I asked
have you
him
talked
to check and
Mr.
see.
Find out if we do have the money.
We have it, but that's $250,000 you can't spend on anything else, and it is recurrent. On the other hand, fully half of the principals in Washington County Schools made application at other school systems this summer. I happen to know that. Many of them got interviews, several of them took jobs. More than one supervisor in this building interviewed in other school systems this summer. We had a central office supervisor take a $30,000 pay increase to become an assistant principal every time they go anywhere. And I'm sick of listening to this. I had to do it because it's just too much money to turn down. We're training fine young principals and watching them leave. And while $250,000 is a fortune, it may be the best money you'll ever spend. Yeah, we need to study it. And that's my comment, Mr. Chairman.
You said supplement. Do you mean add to their salary or their?
You can do it either way, but this easy way is just to add it to the board policy that has a supplement attached to it. Principals already get $2,000, assistants already get $1,000.
Okay.
Should this go through policy first?
It would eventually, well, this board can change its own policy.
Should come through finance.
But it can be done this way.
Any more discussion?
I'm just a little disappointed we couldn't give everybody a raise. And we've had teachers go to higher paying systems as well. So I would like to use that money to try this next year to give everybody a 2% or 3% raise. That's what I strive for. I don't want to pick out certain ones. We do have great principals, but I would feel more comfortable giving everybody a raise.
Even though they are the low people on their totem pole, you want to do that?
I want to give everybody a raise.
I do too.
And I feel like we could have worked a little harder. I know I appreciate Mr. Hale, but I feel like I'm very disappointed we couldn't give anybody anything this year. That's,
Well, we was told, Mr. Chairman, we was told in the budget meeting downstairs that there was not gonna be no raises to no county employees. County teachers, county road, whatever, no county employees. And then we went to the county commission meeting and we watched them give a 2% raise to it. I agree, the teachers, principals, everybody needs a raise. I just don't see how, I mean, it'd have to come out of our fund balance to do the $250-some-thousand. Does that take county commission approval? Or can this board make that decision?
I haven't thought that hard.
See,
That would be a finance.
if I may interject on what you're saying, if it has to come out of the fund balance, and we can't get the county commission to give it next year, then that's another $250,000 the year after that's got to come out of the fund balance. And the third year, if it has to come out again, that's $750,000 you're up to, okay? When we give a raise like that, ladies and gentlemen, it has to be, and I'm not trying to be mean, I'm trying to be realistic. It has to be reoccurring funds.
True.
If you use fund balance, it grows by $250,000 every single year. And I apologize to any administrators that's in the office that I'm even saying this. I wish we could give everybody a raise. I'm disappointed that we couldn't give our teachers any more than their regular step increases this year. But you're putting a lot of money at risk by trying to do this year after year after year after year.
I think we're doing it for our students.
Oh, I do too. But
You know, they're important, and we got to keep good people.
I agree.
In business, you would do it in a heartbeat.
And
why wouldn't we do it in the school system?
We've got to do it within the money that we
got
have
the
to
money.
do with.
We got the money.
Do you have it next year? You don't know. That's an unknown. How about the year after that? That's an
Well, the sky
unknown.
may fall
Clarence.
next year. I don't know. Don't know. But we got it, and I've never had to.
I will say that this is something that should have been discussed with all of us. This is a whole lot of money. As chairman of the board, I feel like I should have been told that this was even being discussed.
I'm sorry.
I really feel like that I was
I didn't want
left
to.
out of the loop on this one.
And so do
This
I.
is the first time I've heard of it.
And so do I,
And
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not necessarily upset with you,
Okay.
Mr. May, but this should have been in some type of communication with me so that I could have been aware.
But I did not go with 4 or 5 people and plot something.
No, I know you
It's just me and the superintendent did this.
Yeah,
And,
well, I think
and
I
brought
should
it
have
to you.
been, I think I should
should've
have been
done it.
included in that.
I should have done it. I should have done it. Apologize.
I'm gonna say that this needs to be tabled and discussed at a later date by whoever you choose to be the chairman next time. I'm putting a motion forward for tabling this. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
No discussion, do a roll call vote for me, Jennifer.
Ms. Dellinger?
yes.
Mr. Masters?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
No.
Mr. Irvin?
Yes.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
I'm gonna say this again. You haven't backed our principals over the last 2 years, and this is another slap in their face.
Well,
That's okay.
and I'm gonna say, I'm not slapping any principal in their face.
I'm saying as a group,
Because
we are.
I'm gonna say this, I'm a former principal and I know exactly what they have to do. I'm a principal now.
Well, I'll say this to you,
And I'll
Jack.
say that they do a lot of work and that everybody is underpaid in education.
I'll say-
Everybody.
I'll say this.
And you've got to dig down deep and say, why am I doing this job? It's for the kids. It's not for the money. Because my daddy told me when I went into education, son, you're not gonna get rich, but you're doing something great for children. And that's exactly how I feel about it if you're in education. If you came in this business to get rich, you came in the wrong business. Okay, let's move on to our next insurance committee report.
You gonna let him do the youth report, Jack?
Hey,
Is he gonna do the
you're
youth
gonna
report?
do the youth?
With your permission.
Yes.
Health, Education, and Welfare met this morning. If you recall, the last time they met, they failed to fund our technology plan or the request for money for lighting at the Crockett softball field. So went back to them this morning, and I'll have to take it by item. The Gray Elementary brick repair that was slated for 17-18 was at $300,000. We were told that this money, this by the way has not started. This money was probably budgeted, but may or may not be available anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Now, by the way, for this to be in front of you, let's just go ahead and get it. This is what was presented to HEW. Just went ahead and took the entire plan back to them because you had revised it at the retreat in Gatlinburg, and we just went back to them with the brand new document. And this was not a new document to anybody in the courthouse, but if you look at the 2018-19 column, that is fiscal 19. We're all the same place. The Midway HVAC repair at $25,000 has been on the capital improvement plan as long as I can remember, but it was not part of the adopted county budget for fiscal 19. The document they had in hand was one nobody in the school system had ever seen, and it listed that cost at $250,000, which was obviously a typo because you could tear the place down and rebuild it for $250,000. Anyway, there's no money for that. The South Central roof, which was originally funded at $560,000, you had increased $670,000 because that's what it would cost in 2018 dollars. The county did include that in its budget, but at $560,000. They did not seem interested in increasing it. That will go forward to the county budget committee, but if it is funded, it will be at the $560,000 level. I was told that if it bids out at more than that, it will have to come from the board's budget, current budget. The softball field lights at David Crockett High School, I was told, were probably not going to be funded. It's been passed along to the budget committee, but probably not going to be funded because the capital improvement money had not accrued to the point to where they could fund those lights without a bond issue. And a bond issue of $150,000 is actually $300,000, and that's as far as that went. Also in 18-19, the new Boones Creek K-8 partial pay is fully included in the county budget. Now, down at the bottom is school buses. There was a lot of confusion there. The mayor says that this was double budgeted in fiscal 18 and that we should have purchased 16 buses. Now, we're studying this. We purchased 8 long buses and 2 short buses, 8 of which are here and on the road. We are researching what, if anything, went wrong because they have budgeted 0 for 18-19 for school buses. Our transportation staff is looking at what might happen if we end up getting 0 for new buses in fiscal 19. We would probably be placed in a position of putting buses on the road for their 17th year, which is legal but requires some stepped up maintenance. Finally, technology was not presented because you have just in the last few minutes adopted the new technology budget, but we are told that the $640,000 that we thought had been in this year and in this line since inception in 2016 had been zeroed out because nobody came and asked for it during the county budgeting process, and also because it was unclear what this board's intent was for the use of technology funds. And that is my report, Mr. Chairman.
They said that we didn't request this even though they had this in their hands.
This did not constitute an agreement, a binding agreement with the county. We were told that we had to come ask for these funds each year.
Well, excuse me, where do we go from here with this?
The HEW is going to send this document forward, and they said because they won't meet again until October after their own reorganization. They're going to send this forward to budget. That's Wednesday next week. And since you asked, every bit of the capital improvement money has been budgeted by the county, not the county school system, by the county for fiscal 19. The wild card, as they put it, was 2.1 or 2.2 million.
2.1 for the old
For the old courthouse renovation. If the county commission were willing to hold off on that, perhaps some of that money could be carved out for Washington County schools.
But the problem is for 18-19, we need 2.3.
And yes, sir.
So we still wouldn't.
Still, they don't have enough money. We have been asked to forward our findings. Really, the only thing that we have to give more information on is the school buses, and we'll have that by Monday morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon. Tom Seeley has asked that we send everything to his office by Monday afternoon so that it can be put in the form of a resolution. That's how the budget and the full commission looks at things. So that's where we are.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I thought we all agreed that the county commission was going to buy what buses we needed every year because we had buses that was coming off that had to come off. You know, I'm a firm believer in running the bus as long as possible. But if we was supposed to buy 16 buses last year or this year, that was $1.2 million worth of buses that we really didn't need because they wasn't ready to come off, some of them. So we don't want to waste it that way. But 8 buses at $78,000 a piece is $624,000, real close to the mark that we have here 4 buses. 1920, we probably have less buses to have to purchase at $568,000. So, you know, there's something messed up somewhere.
Well, I never remember, and I attended a lot of those meetings, and I was never under the impression that we had to request the 640. Every time Ms. Halliburton went, she discussed this and the amount of technology funds we would need per year. It never was told that it had to be in a form of a request. That's why they kept asking for this, to see what we were needing. So I don't understand why all of a sudden the rules have changed.
It's a good question.
I think we need to stress as well our scores, which are a result of our technology. They want to do away with our technology, they're going to do away with our scores as well.
And another thing is, I thought the money that we got, the 24 cents, was designated for this capital project.
That's what I thought.
And that's why they needed this list, so that they would know how to budget.
I thought 2 cents went toward the buses.
Yeah, that's what was listed.
I just don't understand why it all of a sudden needed to become a request. Maybe with the new commission it will be different. And hopefully you can speak with the new county mayor that's coming on and see what process they now have decided to do this.
My fear is the money is already gone. It will be literally will be zeroed out for the technology plan that Curtis just illustrated.
So that 640 that you were counting on this year is not going to be available?
That is the potential. And also the money we didn't spend on buses, we asked, well, where is that money? And we could not get a clear answer. It may be have been rerouted to other projects as well.
This is so confusing to have had a plan like we've had, and we've seen cash flow, Mr. Meredith has made numerous trips in here to explain the cash flow to us, and then it just disappears.
What has happened, they are getting less and less money. And the longer you wait on things, the less money you're gonna get.
Well, this was a 5 or 6 year plan, Clarence.
How are they getting less money, Mr. Mayor? When they based it on that cents coming?
40 cent tax.
Yeah, but coming to us just 24.
I don't know.
You say that, you must know something we don't know.
Well, we've got a man back there that's a financial man, he'd probably tell us. You know, ask him.
I do think there has to be a lot of explaining to that, because we make commitments. We make commitments to our kids and to our teachers, to our administrators, that this technology's coming. And that the funding was there. That's why we went and asked people to raise the taxes. I do hope the next commission and the next board can find out why. I hate for things to be told one way and it's done another way. When I put my name on the line to try to support it, thank you for the update. Insurance committee report, and I think that's Ms. Buchanan.
The Insurance Committee met on August 8th, 2018 at 5 p.m. in the central office. Those present for the meeting were Chairman Buchanan, Todd Gaines, Mary Beth Dillinger, Brad Hale, Wendy Mobley, David Hammonds was not present. Dr. Bill Flannery, Philip McLean, and Susan Kiernan were also in attendance. Mr. Buchanan called the meeting to order. Mr. Hale presented possible options for coverage of the premium increase of 2.5%. The committee decided to table the decision and review at a later date. The need for a policy regarding the continuation of health insurance while an employee is on leave was discussed. I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion with the report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the report say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do you have any recommendations? Okay, no recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. All right, let's go to staff reports. Mr. Adams, Dr. Adams, if you'll come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, school board members. According to Board Policy 3.402, we are required to generate and distribute an annual vehicle authorization report. It should have been placed in your Dropbox earlier this afternoon. The report specifically says that it must list the county vehicles, the employee assigned to that vehicle, the need for the 24-hour access to that vehicle, and the one-way mileage to the employee's home. So that is in your Dropbox. Currently, we have 11 county vehicles that have an employee assigned to that vehicle, that they take that vehicle home and have 24/7 access to it. The reason usually for the need of that vehicle is either mechanics, bus mechanics, auto mechanics that have to respond to a breakdown or a bus not being able to be started first thing in the morning. Sometimes our mechanics are also our substitute bus drivers, and they may have to go and get a bus to drive it early in the morning if the regular bus driver can't do it. Some of our other system-wide people, or our maintenance supervisor, has a need for that vehicle for on-call system-wide emergencies. We have other people who are responsible to respond to alarms in schools or other security issues at our school buildings. The biggest thing I'd like to tell you all is we've looked through this list. I have not shared the previous list with you, but last year the report had 15 vehicles on it that were taken home by county employees to use 24/7. We have whittled that down to 11 in an effort to make sure that we're saving as much money as we can through our transportation department. And we've analyzed the actual need for system-wide people to have these vehicles, and the 11 on that list are the people that we feel absolutely have to have that. I will say, as needs change, there may come a time that we add another vehicle on there. That is not my desire, but we have to be flexible and respond to the needs of the system as it goes forward. There are a couple vehicles on there that are older that eventually we'll look to replace. I guess that'll come at a different time in a different place, but in years past, we've just said that they had a truck. This year, we tried to give the year and the make of that vehicle.
Do you have to have the approval of this report to send in?
Policy doesn't require it.
Does it?
It requires us.
Mostly for the board's information, from what I can gather, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions, Mr. Patterson?
So you just have one maintenance vehicle, or for maintenance department going home?
Well, technically, we have the maintenance supervisor, but we also have ground maintenance, Mr. T. He works weekends at the tournaments at Grandview and Ridgeview, so he also has 24/7 access to his vehicle. We have a technology guy, Vince Sweeney, and then we have 3 food service personnel. They respond to alarms, security. A lot of times, we're worried mostly about freezers at different school buildings. If they get that alarm that freezer is stopped, and I'll say it, but you all are fully aware of it, if a freezer goes out in the middle of the night, we could lose a ton of money in food going bad.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask Mr. Patrick a question. Do you have several calls for the maintenance department during the middle of the night? Sometimes it might require.
We have some on occasion, but not as many as you'd think. Our system is in good shape.
Okay.
And but you have that occasion where the night cleaning service will call you, water's running out the front door, and you have to go.
So do they have to go get their van or their?
Yes. Yeah, one of my maintenance personnel have to leave home, go to the warehouse, get their van, any tools, and then go to the respond to school.
Well, I know you came to South Central at 2:30 in the middle of the night to help me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's on the road 24.
Yeah, but he's the only one. I'm just saying, if you have to go get a van or equipment.
As of right now, and I think I know what you're asking, Mr. Hammond. Right now, it's not became an issue, not having men with the vehicles at home. Of course, we used to drive them all home all the time, and that was a nice perk for the employees, by the way. But we seem to be doing okay right now. But as Dr. Adams said, in the future, something may come up that we have to.
I appreciate y'all trying to keep the numbers down, but I'm just thinking if someone's got to go to the garage and get a van and water's running, and I mean, you've got certain.
I mean, there may be a time in the future we have to look to having a rotating on-call schedule where, say, 3 maintenance men take vehicles home every night, and then a rotating schedule where 3 others take them home. And I don't know enough about what we would need to include in that severance package, because you put that person on call, well, you lock down their evening, basically. And I don't make that call enough, I think, right now to constitute putting that in play. But I think.
Again, I think it's something we'll look at and analyze that as time goes by. One other thing I would like to note on the bus mechanics, there are 3 vehicles currently that we have for bus mechanics that are only during the school year. During the summertime, they leave those vehicles at the bus garage because they're only needing them in cases of a bus breakdown or a transportation problem they have to go solve. And during the summer, we don't have those issues, so we leave those at the bus garage.
Any other?
This didn't have to deal with that, but how is the bus transportation? Is it clear, is it getting better, or, I mean, I know we,
Well, I know everybody here is aware that we've had some issues. I would honestly say to you, Ms. Dellinger, that those issues are not much different than we've had in years past. The opening days, bus routes change, bus numbers change, kids move from point A to point B, kid moves in and we don't know they're there. You know, as a parent of kids in the system, I understand the frustration and try to be as sympathetic and empathetic. I think overall our transportation department is running much more smooth than probably it ought to be right now. As we have delved into the issues that came to light in February and March, we are basically trying to rebuild our transportation department from the bottom up on the fly. And you know, we have a VersaTrans program that is supposed to have the bus routed for every school and have a bus number for that bus route. And that VersaTrans system has not been updated in 4 years. And we are in the process of getting to that. To me, it is a situation like if you're building a new subdivision and you hire somebody and they're going to tell you that they're running all the pipes, and you get out there and you thought all the pipes were running, you start building a house and you say, wait, pipes aren't in the ground. That's where we're at, and we're trying our best. And I would say 99% of the phone calls I've handled or Mr. Post handled have come from frustrated people that once they understand what we're doing and understand that we're here to help them and want to get better, they end the phone call with a thank you and we appreciate you. And you know, not everybody's happy, but we do the best we can, and we appreciate everybody's patience. And I know you guys filled a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, and we appreciate your support in what it is we're trying to do. Hopefully you all read some of the newspaper articles where the transportation department has been lauded by the State Department of Education, specifically Dr. Tammy Knipp has lauded us in the progress we've made in about a 3-4 month period. So much to the degree that September 26th, Washington County is hosting a regional meeting for all the area transportation supervisors, where she is bringing them together to come here to see what it is we're doing, because while we are on the front page of certain things for certain issues, a lot of the other transportation departments across the state are in disrepair as well. And she's bringing them here so that we can show them what it is we're doing right, because that's how good our transportation department's getting. We're not there yet, but we're building that, and I'm excited for that. I've talked to some people in the press, and hopefully they'll be here to cover that. And if you guys want to come, we'll have a big yellow school bus out here in the parking lot where they're going to train everybody how to do evacuations for our school children off of the school bus. And once we get trained how to do that, we will take that training out to all our bus drivers at the schools, and we will work on evacuation drills and things like that for our school children.
well, I appreciate you making communication a key, because I think that's where a lot of the frustration was.
Well, and you're absolutely correct. And when people would call us and they say, well, what bus is supposed to pick my child up? And we get on VersaTrans, which is the easiest way to figure that out, and it's not right. And you know, I don't mind to take responsibility for that. You know, I can make an excuse and say, I thought, no, that's okay, I do it. But no, it's all right. But what I'm saying is, I thought it was being done.
Well, okay.
And now I know it wasn't, and I guarantee you I'll take care of that with Dr. Flannery's support. He's been 100% behind what we're trying to do. We'll take care of it. It'll get done.
So, how short are we on bus drivers?
Well, Mr. Urban, that's a great question. I'll answer it this way. Currently, we have 5 bus drivers who have taken some type of medical leave to varying degrees and different lengths. If those people are able to return to work, including the 2 people that we have to train still, we should be up and running. We're also down 2 bus mechanics. One has resigned and another one has taken about a 4-week leave of absence. He's not due to return until, I think, August 27th or 28th. And we'll see, A, if he comes back, and B, if he's able to drive for us. We have 1 retirement that happened August 3rd. We had 1 resignation that happened August 3rd. I have a bus driver currently who has apparently just decided she's not going to come and take the mandatory training, which is a safety issue, and basically says that she's happy to stay home and get paid. So those are the issues we're dealing with, and I appreciate your asking that question, Mr. Because I know what you're here for the kids, and that's what we're here to do. We want people safe behind the wheel of our vehicles.
When I went to Lamar and watched, I don't know how many kids is at Lamar, but I counted 134 kids get off the bus, 7 buses, you know, and I drove from my milk barn to Lamar this morning, and it was 5 minutes till 8, and I still had kids standing along the road waiting to get on the bus. I've never seen that.
Well, the issue with that is we're running a lot of double runs for people that that we don't want to have to run double runs.
All right, let me ask this question. Is them kids, if they're on school breakfasts or whatever, is them kids being able to go and get their breakfast?
Mr. Irvin, I would love to answer that question.
I'm just asking.
No, and that is that's a rumor. A phone call to a principal.
No, it's not a rumor.
Well,
if that youngin is standing there on that road at 5 minutes till 8,
I understand.
And he gets there at 10 minutes after and school starts at 8:15, does that youngin get to go get his lunch or breakfast?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I
every school building.
That's all I want.
Well, I'm just saying, in every school building, we've had kids that have arrived at an 8:15 opening school at 8:25, 8:35, and they get off the bus, they go straight to the cafeteria, and they have the option to get their breakfast. Now, if they don't take it, we can't make them, but they are offered their opportunity to get their school breakfast. Okay. And as a teacher in this school system, as a person in this school system, I take offense that anybody would ever say that we would not feed our school children.
I'm not saying I'm not feeding.
I'm not saying you said that.
Are they able to go get it? That's all I'm asking.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
That's all I ask.
Turn them away.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what time.
Doesn't matter what time.
Well, that's fine.
We'll hold the break.
That's all I ask. I mean, I don't want them to say you got to go straight on the class.
No, sir. And I understand that that's out there. That's why I said a rumor, because that came to me, and I asked the principals, are we feeding our kids? Even though I know the answer. And I found one principal who could tell me that they had one phone call asking if that was happening. The rest of it, they never called the principal. I've not been asked that question by anybody.
Well, I haven't had it.
Okay, well, great.
But I see the youngins standing on the road. That's what I'm asking.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you asking that question, because that gives me an opportunity to dispel that by people who are saying things perhaps that they don't fully understand or know the whole situation. So I appreciate that opportunity, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question. I've not had that about the eating either, or not being able to eat, but I have had some phone calls from the Ridgeview area and Lamar area about kids actually having to stand up on the bus. Has that been taken care of?
The one instance that we had of that, as we looked back at the videotape, there were some kids standing in a bus, but what really was going on with that bus is the bus was so full. We had certain kids that they were refusing to sit in a seat with another student. They usually, I guess, would have a seat all to themselves. That has been addressed specifically at Ridgeview. We worked hard with Dr. Harrell and worked with Mr. Post, and we have another bus out there that is divvying up those kids, so you know, that we don't run into that situation.
Thank you.
Anything else for Dr. Adams? Thank you, Dr. Adams.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Next item on our agenda is on the new business, WCEA.
I have two staff reports.
Oh, they're not on here. Hey, I'm sorry.
I apologize. Age before beauty. Amen to that. I'm just kidding. I'm not talking to your principal. Dr. Flannery has asked me to address, let's see, administrative reports, board policy 1.603. At each board meeting, the director of schools shall report the names of new personnel employed since the last meeting of the board. That is what you have in your hands right now. From this point on, those reports will be under personnel under the consent agenda. This is just for the month of July since your last board meeting, and he did ask me to ask finance to pull this together from July 1 to July 31st. And that is your report.
So you don't need any recommendation?
This is satisfying a standing order from you.
And the second, I'm sorry, do you have any questions? Okay, the second report is for GovDeals. If I can find it. We have 5 buses that have been taken off the road because their years have expired. They're still drivable, they're in good shape. Ask for them to be declared surplus and we'll put those on GovDeals.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
All right, we have a motion on the table to put those to for sale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Ganger. Any discussion?
Can we ask the director to call the sheriff and ask him if they happen to need any buses or anything?
First thing in the morning.
They got 5 or 6 sitting over in the front parking lot. I don't know how many they usually have.
If they're taking off, that might be something they're getting ready to get rid of, if they need some.
We don't need your authorization to let them have it, because it'll be $1.
Yeah, well, I put that in the form of a motion if they want it.
You want to amend the motion?
Yes.
I'll need, he's doing an amendment. Do I have a second for that? He wants to amend it. If the sheriff's department wants one and they need it, we sell to them for $1.
Just one or a minute?
I would assume if they need them all.
Those prices.
Don't they?
Oh, I'll take one.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Hammond. Now let's have discussion.
All right. Do I not remember that they typically pay us $1 and then they give us their old one back and we sell it on GovDeals?
We do, yes, sir.
Okay, so we do.
4 or 5 years of service.
It's almost like a trade-out.
All right, let's do the amendment first. Do a roll call vote.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin? Mr. Leonard?
Yes. Let's go back to the original motion to put any surplus buses that we have that the sheriff's department doesn't want or they give back to us. We'll sell it on that website. Do a roll call vote for me, Jennifer, please.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Dellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kieran. Now we go, next item on the agenda is new business with FCCLA.
Dr. Kiernan is the fairest of them all.
It's too late now.
Jennifer said it was her pants. Is what it
I would have never thought as a child living in the housing project that I would one day be in front of such a great group of people who love children. We would like to thank for the dedication and service Mr. Masters, Mr. Leonard, and Mr. Mabe, and welcome Mr. Flingner, Mr. Day, and Mr. Meredith. And glad to have some returning folks, Ms. Buchanan, Mr. Urban, and Mr. Hampton. And I'm getting a little emotional, but I'll change it to something funny again because that's what I do. Yesterday a student said,
Miss France, your hair color's falling off. And I said, yes, and it won't be till next week that I get it back on. So are we getting paid tomorrow? Thank you, thank you. We all love children. That's why we're here.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is a roundtable. Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good meeting, a lot of good dialogue about some of these issues. Most important thing I have to say tonight is thank you to Mr. May, yourself, Mr. Leonard, and Mr. Masters. Thank you for your willingness to serve our community and do things for our students and our staff. I say that with all sincerity. Thank you. And also, congratulations to our new gentleman who will be meeting with us next month. Congratulations to you. That's all I have, sir.
Ms. Buchanan.
Dr. Flannery has addressed a little bit of some of the numbers in our classroom, and that he's going to be putting some teachers and in place, and I do have some concerns about some of the classroom sizes once Dr. Kite shared some of the numbers with me. So I'd like to get with you sometime this week and kind of look at the ones I'm really, really concerned about. I'm also understand that we are lacking in salaries some places. It's been mentioned to me several times from people in the community, teachers, principals, and some of the principals have not addressed the salaries on their behalfs, but on their teachers' behalfs. I think that's very professional of them, and I wanted you all to know that they have approached for their teachers and not themselves, and that's how unselfish that they are being. I also understand that we hire people, and we hire them for maybe 2 separate jobs, and we're giving some of them hard times over the jobs that we've hired them to do. We can't. We're having scheduling conflicts and things like that, and we're kind of leaving that out there for them to take care of, and that's not right. If we hire them to teach a classroom and then we hire them to coach something, we need to be working that out for them, not leaving them hanging high and dry, not being able to do both jobs that we've hired them to do. And that is a concern for me. The way we've treated those people, they feel betrayed after we have hired them to do a job. I do want to thank Mr. May, Mr. Leonard, and Mr. Masters. It's been a joy and an honor to serve with you all, and I'm glad the school year has gotten off on a good start. I know that there's still some bus issues, and I know we're working those out. They're not alone. I'm a parent, and I am in that too. My child was 30 minutes late again today, but he's getting home earlier and earlier, and that'll be okay. We'll figure it out. Thank you for allowing me to serve, and I'm looking forward to the next few years.
Mr. Masters.
Well, it's been 4 years. It's went by very quick. I have enjoyed my 4 years here. I'm going to miss especially the ones here at Central Office that I've come to know and work with. And I'm going to miss, of course, meetings like we have, fussing. But we all are here for one thing, and you got to keep that in mind. One thing I guess I can say is, I've worked with 3 directors now in 4 years. I guess a lot of people don't say that. A lot of you been here a lot longer than I have, and y'all haven't. I've got to meet 3. But I can honestly say though, if I was saying you'd have my vote. I think what I've seen over the last 2 or 3 months, good man for the job. I really, really do. Again, I have enjoyed it. Congratulations to the new ones. Congratulations to the ones that won. Those went by very quick, as for me anyways. But Phil, I got 2 questions to ask you. Paving at Fall Branch, are we?
We're still on schedule for that to happen.
This year?
For what?
This year?
Yes.
Okay. And we had discussed, because I won't be in more meetings about this, but the fence at Sulphur Springs, have we ever decided anything on that?
We're working that into the budget also.
Thank you.
Okay. But again, I appreciate each and one of you. Y'all are dear friends, and we'll miss y'all, but we'll be back around. Congratulations to the new principals, the vice principals. David, I've heard good things, and glad you're done.
Thank you.
Really do. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Masters. Mr. Irvin?
Good meeting. Clarence, you're 16 years. Is that what you put in? Well, I'm gonna miss you.
Thank you.
Now,
Appreciate that.
me and you, we argue sometimes, but I can still consider you my friend, and you know, I'll call you if you got a problem out there at Boone or wherever. You make sure you call me, and we'll get things took care of. But Mr. Masters, you know, I got to know you a little bit during ball season when you was working the concession stands, and then you thought, boy, I'm going to get into this school board and I'm going to straighten us all out. Boy, you failed. I'll just tell you that. So, but I appreciate your services on the board. Thank you for doing it. You've been a good board. Mr. Leonard, I love you. I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, me and you argue, and I hate that we've argued, but you're my friend. You'll always be my friend. Your sons are like sons to me. Thank you. I remember when we was playing softball, and your sons was playing baseball, we'd sit and talk school board messes before you got elected to the school board.
That's right.
And you seen what was going on, and Mr. Leonard, thank you.
Appreciate that.
As the rest of you, you're stuck with me for 4 more years. I'm sorry, but I enjoy this. I've got 49 things going on the farm, but I thoroughly enjoy being on the school board. I appreciate your all's support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irvin. Mr. Ganger?
Likewise on the new ones coming in. Mr. May, how long were you a teacher?
Oh, gosh. 16, 18 years.
So you had that 16 years on the board, and that's 34, 36 years. And expect you to stay as active as ever in the system.
We'll play more tennis.
Yeah, play some more tennis, but you know, I do appreciate you, and I appreciate your friendship over the years and getting to know you and everything. It's been an honor, really, to serve with you. And, you know, I kind of said it one other time, and I mean, you've been an inspiration for me on this board because, you know, you did the chairmanship, and I knew then it wasn't an easy thing for you, and you know, you inspired me to do it because you know, I had no intentions to do it, didn't want to do it.
You did a good job.
But I mean, you did a good job, and I mean, you really were the reason I did it. So I appreciate you there. Jack, how long were you a teacher, administrator, and everything?
I was 14 years and been in the State Department 5 in Johnson City and now Crane County.
You've got a good 30 plus years with school systems. And
4 years with the after school program.
So, and no doubt, you know, you gave all your
instructional aide for 3 years.
I didn't know you was in Greene County. What you doing down there?
I'm an assistant principal,
Which school?
South County.
My cousin hire you?
South
Huh?
Did my cousin hire you?
No, Lori Wilhoit did.
Oh, okay. David, distant cousin.
Well, Lori's the principal.
Did you say South Green?
Yes.
Awesome. That's good
That's
stuff.
the girls' basketball capital
I
in
know
the
it
double
is.
A.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
No, but I appreciate all your service. You and me go way back. We've been, families have been friends, and
My sister babysitted you.
she babysat me, and I'm thankful for those days. Having a Miss Tennessee babysit me wasn't a bad thing. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate.
No, she got first.
I appreciate all your service with the system. I expect you to, as well, to stay a part of it. And I do appreciate you as a friend as well. And, Mike, I didn't know you beforehand, and I'm glad I know you now. So, and I know you were very active before you came on the board, with Boone and doing things, and I expect the same, even though you're not on the board. I do consider you a friend now, and I'm glad you did serve for 4 years. So, thank you. And congratulations to the 3 sitting board members that were able to win their elections. With that being said, I think we owe it to these 3 that are leaving to have one more vote on Jonesboro School. And I'd hate to think that we left here, they had to leave here with unfinished business. This has been going on for probably 2 years, probably more. I've lost count. And they've put a lot of time and effort into it. Dr. Flannery did, I believe it was you that sent the, in the update maybe, is the cafeteria layout and all the things that were going to be fixed in the Scheme 6. To me, every issue's been addressed, and I see no reason not to bring this up and approve it. So I'm making a motion that we accept Scheme 6 of the Jonesboro School project.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Masters. Discussion?
I talked this week to, and I hate he's not back there, is he? Brandon McKee, the principal at Jonesboro Middle, and the picture we were sent shows 350 students eating lunch in that cafeteria as projected. And in all actual people that are in the cafeteria are 120. He said that is all they can accommodate at one time. So that means some way they're going to have to cram 350 students in that cafeteria, and I don't think it's large enough.
Well, he did tell us in that, when he was here that time, that some of those rooms, I think that they used as the old teacher's lounge, that was going to be
He said
expanded.
classrooms, they're really offices.
Well, they were offices.
He said, okay, I'm just saying, I still don't feel comfortable putting 940 students in that cafeteria. I don't think it's adequate, and I don't think...
They don't eat at the same time.
Well, no, they don't eat at the same time, but when we have 120 that have to eat, that's probably going to put kindergarten starting eating lunch at 10 o'clock.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So it'll only hold 120?
They're making it bigger.
I mean, that was in the plans that showed
That's
it.
triple. That's going to have to be triple the size. It's not going to be triple.
You know, that's, to me, a poor excuse not to accept this, just because, I mean, our high school cafeterias are not that big, and they funnel 1,200, 1,300 kids through there. These other middle schools are doing it. They don't have as big cafeterias. I mean, it will work.
I don't think you understand what is required with a kindergarten, first grade, cutting open their ketchup packages and having instructional assistants helping them every step of the way. you can't run people, you can't run them through that many at one time.
Ridgeview's not that big either, they got 900 some students.
No, they've got seven something.
And this is gonna be 940.
800, right?
I have
What's that, 790 or something?
811.
822
Yeah, I
she
appreciate
says
that.
right now.
And you don't have any problems doing this?
We start lunch at 10:55 and end at 12:56.
I just
How many are
don't, I just don't understand that every time we get a scheme put toward us, someone within the 5 that keep voting the way they do come up with another reason. It's every time. The people in the community are tired of that. The kids of those schools are tired of waiting. Parents are too. And I'm afraid the county commission will give that money away. We keep waiting.
We're seeing it now.
Yeah.
And it may not be there.
But every time we bring a new scheme or a new idea, somebody comes up with one little thing they don't like about it.
We've had schemes that have not been approved, but I believe we may have a little bit more understanding. Hopefully, I'm hoping a little bit more sympathetic towards the school board, county commission now. I'm willing to give it a try. It's important enough that we not just settle.
If you're just saying, I'm just settling, I'm not just settling.
I'm not saying you're just settling, I'm just saying
Mr.
I'm not
Cannon.
going to.
There was some discrepancies on what you sent us and what Tony told us the last time we were here. Like in my notes, I had asked Tony questions, and what was on that list wasn't what Tony had said that was going to happen. So I'm not really sure which one is going to. I'm not really sure which one's right, which one's wrong at this point. And that is my hold up there, because I asked for that piece of paper, those descriptions. I asked for them the night that Tony was here, and I got them yesterday.
What was the discrepancy?
It's the pipes. The pipe is the discrepancy.
He's
and I
told us
asked
up
them.
here, they are replacing the pipes.
Okay, he told us on that piece of paper that they were only replacing the pipes in that one area.
Gym area?
That
That's
was
what it
when we
said.
were at the other scheme where they were just going to do that part.
But that is what's on the paper that we got yesterday.
He said right to us here in public that all of the pipes in the whole building were going to be replaced.
They're gutting it.
They're gutting it. It's going to have brand
It's gonna be
new pipes.
basically a new building.
It didn't say that on this list.
Didn't say that on this list.
You can always find some reason not to do something. It's not hard.
Yeah, we've experienced that with the Hugh Committee.
I know. And I'm afraid what's gonna happen. You got 20 million now. If y'all keep waiting, it'll be 10 original.
I don't understand why it was so hard to get a list from one point to the other. I don't understand why it took 4 weeks to get me a list.
Well, how long does it take
I
to
don't
look at it?
understand. You need to ask the central office staff or Mr. Street why it took that long. I mean, that should have been followed up.
The bottom line is, he's told us they're getting it, and then the new part, of course, is new. So, I mean, to me, enough's enough. I just want to have some respect to the outgoing ones that have been a part of these meetings repeatedly, put up with this, to finish it before they go off.
Well, I know that I received an email, and I think she emailed us all, one of the parents that has been concerned about all of this, and she was for scheme 6. And she said everybody I've spoken to is for it.
And she's your constituents,
And I just don't understand why now we're finding one little thing or another thing to keep us from moving forward. When we hired Mr. Street to tell us what that will do. And as like we've all said, other schools are doing it with even more kids. And they've got kindergartners. And they've got first graders that need to have help. And they're doing it. Any more discussion? Do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Oh, I thought he said aye.
Yes.
Sorry. Mr. Hammond?
No.
Ms. Dellinger?
No.
Mr. Masters?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
No.
Mr. McLean?
No.
Mr. Ganger?
Aye.
Mr. Irvin?
No.
Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
Five yes, right.
Well, I'll finish up then with, I'm sorry, you three, because, you basically wasted your time for 2 years on this. To me, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Ganger. Mr. Hammonds?
Good meeting. Off to a good start for the school year. Pray for the kids and teachers and staff as we start this year. I appreciate Mr. Masters, Mr. Leonard, and Mr. Mabe's service to this board. Don't always agree, but I consider you all friends, and I know your heart's in the right place. And I also know you all realize that this school project is bigger than any one individual or any three individuals. And I appreciate the work and time you all put into that. I'm sure you'll be recognized when it's complete. Thanks.
Ms. Dillinger?
Oh, I'd like to say we had a good opening teacher in-service meeting. I thought it went well. Congratulations to the new members. We can be proud of our 10 ready scores. Everybody in the system can be. Dr. Aloya has a lot of good ideas for utilizing student teachers. I hope we'll take him up on a lot of those. I'm still concerned, like Annette, about overcrowded classrooms, and I'd like to be updated at next month's meeting about class sizes to see if they go up or down or whatever. And you said you'd have a better idea by then. Good luck, Mr. May, Masters, and Leonard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dillinger. Mr. May?
First of all, I'd like to say, I'm like Mike Masters. The only thing I hate that I won't be here next time or two. If I was here, I'd recommend Mr. Flannery give him a 4-year job, because I think he's the right person for the right time, and I think that's important, because we've tried outside people and this just hasn't worked. Also, I'd like to say that I've enjoyed working for our students. We've got great students, we've got great teachers, and we got good board members too. I mean, we fuss a little bit and all like that, but I love each one of them. And I'm gonna play more tennis and just enjoy my life, and I enjoy every day. I really do. Good Lord's been good to me. I've got good health, and that's awesome. And Jack, you've done an awesome job too. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it, Mr. May. Jennifer has told us that the fall district meeting is September the 24th in Carter County this year, and at 4:30 is registration. Do they need to let you know about transportation? Okay. You'll need to let her know, and you can do that at the September meeting about transportation, because a lot of times we've ridden together to that, and it just makes it a nice trip to all of us go together. We've gone to Hancock County and all the way to Johnson County. Those are long trips. Thank everybody for your service. Thank the central office, and meeting adjourned.